You're listening to The American Backdrop, a show about where politics meets everyday life, where the headlines fade and the real story begins. Because what's happening in Washington isn't just politics. It's your paycheck, your neighborhood, your freedom. I'm Alan, and every week we cut through the noise, talk about what's really going on, and why it matters to you. This is The American Backdrop. Let's get into it. There's a difference between compassion and chaos. And what some cities now call sanctuary is closer to chaos than care. Sanctuary policies sounds nice on paper. Words like safe haven or community trust. But what they really mean is this: local government choosing not to cooperate with federal laws. They block ICE, they hide information, they release people who should be removed. They make it harder, sometimes impossible, for federal agents to do their job. This didn't start big. Years ago, it began as symbolic, a way for cities to say they stood with immigrants. But over time, the meaning changed. It became a shield, not just for families seeking a better life, but for criminals who use those same protections to stay and offend again. Cities like San Francisco, Los Angeles, Chicago, and New York have all declared themselves sanctuaries. But ask the people living there. Ask the police. Ask the store owners. Ask the victims. And they'll tell you it doesn't feel safe. Because when the law doesn't apply equally, nobody's truly protected. Federal law says the United States has the right to remove those here illegally, especially those who commit crimes. But sanctuary leaders say no. They claim moral grounds, saying they're protecting communities while ignoring the victims of the very crimes they allow. It's not compassion when families lose loved ones to offenders who should have been deported. It's not justice when a city tells its own officers to look the other way. The result is confusion. Federal agents want to enforce the law. Local officials refuse to cooperate. And caught in between are the citizens, paying taxes, obeying the law, yet living in fear of those who don't. This isn't how America was built. We're a nation of immigrants, yes, but also a nation of laws. And when laws are ignored for politics, the consequences spread far beyond city lines. When cities declare themselves sanctuaries, the cost isn't just political, it's personal. It hits real people, it drains real money, and it creates a system where law-abiding citizens end up paying for those who broke the law to get here. Every year, billions of taxpayer dollars are spent in sanctuary jurisdictions on housing, healthcare, education, and even legal defense funds for illegal immigrants. In places like California and New York, non-citizens can qualify for benefits that many Americans struggle to afford. Meanwhile, veterans wait for care. Families can't find housing. Small businesses drown in taxes. That's not compassion, that's neglect of the very people who build and fund these cities. Hospitals in Los Angeles and Chicago report overcrowding and unpaid medical bills. Schools face language and funding challenges they were never designed for. Law enforcement agencies are stretched thin, forced to release repeat offenders because local laws forbid cooperation with ICE. And who pays for it all? You do. The taxpayer who gets up early, works long hours, and plays by the rules. You're paying for politics that make your own neighborhood less safe. There are human stories behind every statistic. The woman in San Francisco whose son was killed by an illegal immigrant previously deported 5 times. We all see these news on TV. The store owner in Chicago robbed by the same man twice because city law prevented ICE from taking him into custody. The police officer in New York who watches the same offenders walk free, week after week, because the city refuses to hand them over. These stories don't make national headlines. They don't fit the narrative, but they're real. And while leaders claim sanctuary protects communities, those very communities are the ones suffering. They call it inclusion, but it's exclusion of the citizens who obey the law, who fund the system, and who expect safety in return. At some point, compassion without accountability becomes corruption, and sanctuary policies have crossed that line. In the next part, we'll look at why these city and state leaders keep defending these laws and what they're really gaining from it. If these policies are hurting citizens and costing billions, why do they keep doing it? The answer is simple: politics. Sanctuary laws aren't about safety, they're about control. Local leaders talk about compassion, but what they're really building is a loyal voter base. By giving benefits, housing, and legal shield to illegal immigrants, they create dependency, and dependency turns into political power. These leaders know that if they appear as protectors, they can secure votes from communities they promise to defend, no matter the cost to everyone else. It's not just about morality, it's about money. Many of these same cities take billions in federal fundings while openly refusing to follow federal law. They say they're resisting Washington, yet they cash the checks, use the money, and still block ICE from doing its job. It's hypocrisy on display, and the American taxpayer foots the bill. The Trump administration has been fighting back against this, cutting off funds to non-compliant jurisdictions, sending more ICE resources to cities that cooperate, pushing for laws that make it illegal for states or cities to obstruct federal immigration enforcement. But every time progress is made, sanctuary leaders fight harder, filing lawsuits, defying orders, and turning law enforcement into a political statement. You see it in California, where state officials brag about refusing to work with ICE. You see it in New York, where city leaders publicly criticize federal agents for doing their job. Where violent crime spikes, where City Hall protects people who shouldn't even be there. It's not leadership, it's theater. The victims don't get press conferences. The families who lost loved ones don't get city grants. The citizens asking for safety are called divisive. This isn't about race or hate, it's about responsibility. And when leaders use taxpayer money to reward lawbreakers while pushing law-abiding citizens, they're not serving the people, they're serving themselves. Next, let's look at where this path leads, the national consequences, the fight ahead, and how America can reclaim the rule of law. The fight over sanctuary policies isn't just about cities or states anymore. It's about the country's future, about whether the law still means something in America. Across the nation, federal agents work to keep communities safe, tracking violent offenders, drug traffickers, and repeat criminals who've already been deported. But when cities refuse to cooperate, these same offenders are released right back into their neighborhoods they once terrorized. It's not a mistake, it's a choice. And that choice puts every American at risk. The Trump administration has made it clear: no more excuses. Federal law must apply in every state, every county, and every city. But sanctuary leaders keep fighting, using court orders and local ordinance to block enforcement. They call it resistance. But resistance to what? To law? To order? To the simple idea that American safety should come before politics? The truth is, this isn't compassion, it's defiance. A direct challenge to the Constitution, to federal authority, and to common sense. And the result is what we see today: cities overrun with crime, homelessness, and drugs, neighborhoods where people don't feel safe walking home, public spaces that used to be clean and family-friendly, now filled with tents, trash, and fear. But there is hope, because Americans are waking up. Citizens are demanding accountability. Communities are voting for leaders who respect the law and protect the people who follow it. And federal agencies, with the Trump administration's backing, are pushing to cut off funding to cities that harbor criminals and block ICE. The message is simple. If you refuse to enforce the law, you don't get the taxpayer money. That's the real path forward: restoring balance, enforcing order, and reminding everyone that freedom depends on fairness. We can welcome those who come here legally, who work hard and follow the rules, but we can't survive as a nation if lawlessness becomes a policy. The reckoning has begun, and it's not about hate or division. It's about protecting what makes this country worth defending in the first place: law, justice, and the safety of every American. That's the truth about sanctuary cities. Policies dressed up as compassion, but rooted in politics and defiance. We've seen what happens when laws are ignored, when local leaders put ideology before safety, and when taxpayers are left footing the bill for chaos they never asked for. America isn't built on division. It's built on accountability. And that means standing up for citizens, enforcing the law, and never apologizing for protecting our own. As we speak, the Trump administration is fighting to restore order, to bring back cooperation between states and federal agencies, and to remind every elected official, your first duty is to the people who put you there. It's time for cities and states to remember that too. If we want safe streets, fair laws, and real justice, we can't keep rewarding lawbreakers and punishing those who follow the rules. America's strength comes from its courage. The courage to do what's right, even when it's not easy. Thanks for listening to The American Backdrop. If you like this episode, share it, subscribe wherever you listen, and leave us a comment below. Because the story of America is still being written, and it starts with people like us.